Hello, hello, hello. So, my dear friends, this is all about the whole truth. The whole truth is very, very, very simple. There's a macro reality and a micro reality. Now, obviously, the whole truth is infinite. We could never, ever, ever discuss the whole truth. But the fact of the matter is, we often think in a macro level. When we're thinking about the truth, Einstein, he wanted to discover the unified field theory, how everything is one. He never discovered it. Because in Jewish mysticism it says that there is only unity through God. There's only unity through a point that is above us all. And by each one of us individually, the micro being connected to the macro. And the macro doesn't have to be, because our brains, the way we think is if there's a truth, is universal. But actually, computers teach us, and the Rebbe actually says this, that computers came to teach us a very profound thing, that the same one God can have multiple users. Very important concept. The one God has multiple users. Rabbi Steinsaltz, Rabbi Evan Yisrael, unfortunately he recently passed away. He changed his name to Evan Yisrael. So he says that we often take the approach subconsciously that God is like perhaps the CEO. So the janitor is not going to think I'm going to approach the CEO. Why? Because he's too busy. This guy is taking his time. That guy, the important people. Does he have time for me? My uncle, in fact, once asked the Rebbe, he said that he doesn't understand the Baal Shem Tov's paradigm of Hashgacha Pratis. Why? The Baal Shem Tov says every single leaf that turns in the wind, every blade of grass, every fish in the bottom of the ocean, every bacteria, every star, every atom, everything, which obviously scientifically it must be, but everything is directed by God. So the question is, really God has nothing better to do than to think about a bacteria in the bottom of the ocean? So Rebbe, who had a true understanding of infinity, the way Jewish mysticism works is it always develops further and further. Our understanding of God and truth is a progressive thing. When people were first, if you want to call it, created after man was pushed out of the Garden of Eden, so people they were into idols, they were into falsehoods. Then eventually God gives the Torah. But remember, there was an inner dimension. So the law is the same, Shabbos is the same. But our understanding of the secrets of the universe, of the secrets of God, the secrets of our role, that continues to develop and develop and develop. And without going into too much detail, of course, the first major stage of development was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who wrote the Zohar, the Kabbalah. And then we have the Arizal, who took it to a whole new level. And if you understand Kabbalah, there are different paradigms, different levels in a way. And then you have the Baal Shem Tov, who took it to a whole new level, and amazing insights. And then you have the Alter Rebbe, who took it to a whole new level. And then each one of the Chabad Rebbes, until you have the Rebbe. The Rebbe was the point of infinity, and he really understood this concept of the infinity of God. So the Rebbe said to my uncle an amazing thing. He says, on the contrary, I don't understand how God couldn't be looking at the little bug at the bottom of the ocean. He gave it a tremendous example. He said, imagine for a moment you have a company, right? So let's say you have one store. You want to know what's happening with your investment, with your store. So you're there, you see the workers, you see the product, you see what's going on. Let's say you have 1,000 stores. What are you going to do? So you're going to hire managers, but it's not your optimal situation. Your optimal situation is to know. So if you could know, of course you'll know. So Hashem has no limitation. So of course He cares about you right now. And that's a critical thing to understand, that the micro and the macro are one. There's no difference to Hashem, the highest level and the lowest level. There's no difference whatsoever. Only when it comes to limitations is there differences between more and less. When it comes to infinity, there is no such thing as more and less. More and less is relative to finite levels. But in the infinite level, it's all the same. So why did God make us? He loves us. He loves you. He wants us to grow. And therefore, our journey, our personal journey within everyone, just like the DNA, every part of you contains the whole, every human contains the universe. We're not going to go into the details of different parts of the universe within us, but the bottom line is that let's literally work As the Rebbe says, Mashiach is the gematria, the numerical equivalent of shliach, a messenger from God. But plus 10, plus your 10 powers of your soul, which mainly divide into the 3 intellects, which is Chochmah, Bina, Das, and the 7 emotions, which basically boil down to love and fear. Let's use our intelligence. Let's use our love and our kind of strength for goodness, for kindness, for Hashem. And each one of us, through manifesting the highest potential of ourselves, we actually manifest it in the whole universe.